Hello, everyone. I'm just gonna wait for a few people to come and trickle in, but just wanted to say hello and welcome to our open house. Again, I'll just wait a few more minutes before we officially start, just so everybody can come and join this session. All right, hello and welcome to everybody who's just joining in. I'm just waiting for a few more minutes before before we get started, just to make sure everyone's in, and then we'll get started very shortly. Okay, hello, I see a few more people trickling in. I'll wait just maybe one more minute to make sure everyone's here, and then we can get started. Okay, so we'll get started, and as people come and trickle in, that'll be just fine and dandy. Just wanted to welcome everybody to the Student Finance virtual house session today. So we're going to be chatting about scholarships, bursaries, completing your OSAP application, all that good stuff that y'all need to know. If you have any questions, which I encourage if you do, please ask us. You'll see at the bottom of your screen, there's a Q&A button. And so please pop in all your questions during the presentation. Someone in the background will be answering them. We'll also go through some questions at the end as well. So please pop in all of your questions. We'd be so happy to help out and answer all of them. And so with all of that information done and said, without further ado, I'll let Nancy and Pam take it away with the presentation.
Perfect. Thanks, Sharon. It's Nancy Hellman. I'm the Scholarship and Awards Officer. So I'll start off speaking to you about our awards programs that we have at Laurier. So speaking to you generally about automatic entrance scholarships, entrance bursaries, competitive opportunities, and we'll wrap up with OSAP. So we're talking today about automatic entrance scholarships, and that's a program that you'll be hearing a lot more about at this point in time. That's probably the first program you'll be hearing about. So we have automatic scholarships, which as they are titled, they're no application, you don't have to apply, you'll automatically be considered when you receive an offer of admission, and you'll be given an offer of an entrance scholarship, which is finalized based on final grades. The entrance scholarships are assessed when you apply to Laurier based on your admission average and finalized in July 2022. So if there's any change, you'll be notified in July 2022. If there's no change in your scholarship grid, you'll be awarded that fund. The automatic entrance scholarship that we have is our President's Goal, which is the highest level based on a 95% average or higher at admission, and it's worth $4,000 a year. And it's the only scholarship which is renewable in that form. So basically you can renew it for each year for $4,000 if you meet the eligibility requirements. So if you're in a 4-year program, you're eligible to receive this for years 2 to 4. And students in an approved double degree program that are 5 years in duration are eligible for years 2 to 5 for renewable. This is a sample of the entrance scholarship grid. So it'll give you an idea of where you would land on this grid based on your admission average. So as you can see, it starts at an 80%, and the levels are based on those increments. So 80 to 84.9 would be $1,000 and so on. The only exception to this grid is for the BBA program. So this grid only starts at 90 plus for students looking at a Bachelor of Business program. So the lower levels do not apply in this situation. These are subject to change, but at this point, there is no change for next year. These amounts will apply for the fall of 2022. So The Laurier Scholars Award. This is a relatively new program. This is the second year of this program. So it's a prestigious award that's an annual entrance scholarship to offer high achieving students the opportunity to participate in a dynamic learning environment that'll foster innovative thinking and ethical visionary leadership. So awards recipients will join a community of scholars and receive mentorship, networking, research, and experiential learning opportunities throughout their degree. 7 students will be selected to receive this $40,000 entrance scholarship. So the Laurier Scholars Award includes $7,500 per year for up to 4 years, and an experiential learning award of $10,000. So the experiential award may be used to fund a summer research assistantship, an international exchange, or another hands-on learning opportunity. And that will connect in-class knowledge to learning experiences outside of the classroom. To receive the maximum value of the award, you'll be required to maintain the annual renewal requirements. So over the course of your undergraduate studies, you'll build networks with your cohort of scholars through formal and informal gatherings, and you'll engage in both independent and collaborative projects, choosing from different experiential learning offerings that focus on 3 key areas. So academic development, career and leadership development, and community engagement. So the application will be available December 1st, 2021. You'll be able to apply online, and it's a separate online application which will include a personal statement, a list of your activities and/or accomplishments, and a letter of recommendation. Shortlisted candidates will be invited for a virtual interview with the selection committee, and more information will be updated on our website as it becomes available. So eligibility criteria: to be eligible, you must be a Canadian citizen or international student. You're eligible to apply for this opportunity. You must have a minimum 90% final admission average, and you're attending post-secondary for the first time, and you have an offer of admission for full-time studies for fall 2022. Now, we recognize that you may not have that offer when the deadline comes up, but you can apply. And obviously, if you have an offer of admission at some point in the cycle, you just have to be attending in the fall 2022 to receive the funds. The application timeline will be available early December and a deadline in February. On to our entrance bursary program. So entrance bursaries are financial need-based assistance. It's strictly financial need-based, and the maximum value is $1,500. Applications will be online in December, and the deadline's in April. So plenty of time to fill out that application. You must be a Canadian citizen, permanent resident, and attending post-secondary for the first time. We just ask for estimates on your financial information. So we're just trying to get a financial picture. So we don't expect actual income figures for next year, just your best estimate at this point in time. We'll communicate the information regarding the entrance bursary application through email to you with full details how to apply. And the funds are granted at $1,500 are applied automatically to your fees for next year. So half would be applied to fall 2022 and half would be applied to winter 23. So $750 would come right off your fees right at when that invoice is issued, as long as you're in full-time registration for each of those terms. We will move on to our competitive opportunities. So this is really a really large subject. So just to give you a starting point, the first go-to for Laurier is our profile. So that's open to you not till June. So there's nothing that you need to look at right now, but this faculty profile was where you tell us about yourself, and then we'll match you to any eligible opportunities. So you don't need to go looking for specific opportunities, we'll match you. The information that you provide will help us grant these opportunities. So it could be based on community involvement, athletics, involvement in the arts, academic achievement, or more. It could just be based on financial need. So we definitely encourage all students to apply. Again, there's no guarantee of funding on this, but it maximizes your chance to be considered for all opportunities. We also have 2 other profiles, which you'll receive every year that you're a student. So the general student profile and a faculty-specific profile. So by completing all 3, again, you're maximizing your chance to be considered for all opportunities. And this is the only application that we have that's available before June is the entrance bursary. So again, these profiles will come available next summer, and we'll communicate that to you through email. So again, just watch for your email And we'll communicate all these timelines to you so you don't have to worry about missing these. For other funding opportunities, we just recommend a couple of things. First of all, talk to your guidance counselors. See if there's any available opportunities through your high school. Search external websites. Now, Scholarships Canada, Iconic, all of these databases are massive, so they can take a lot of time and effort to go through. But there are opportunities out there through corporate sponsors that could really help fund your education. The advantage of these right now is that you don't need to know which school you're going to. They're not generally specific to a school. They're just the fact that you'll be attending post-secondary. So once you register with them, you can review information on opportunities that as they come up. So for example, Tim Hortons has a scholarship program for employees that are attending post-secondary. TD Bank, a lot of corporate sponsors will advertise on these databases. So again, talk to your employer directly. If you don't see anything through Scholarships Canada, you can talk to your employer or talk to your parent or guardian's employer, because again, there are opportunities that could be available that they may be able to give you more information on. And that concludes the end of my session, and I'll hand this over to Pamela Woodburn to speak to you about OSAP today.
Good morning. Yes, I'm going to take over from here and talk to you about our OSAP program. OSAP is the Ontario Student Assistance Program, which is otherwise known as OSAP. So our area of financial aid in the Student Finance Office works with that program along with any of the other provincial programs or loan programs from the United States. So the first question would be, what is OSAP? I'm thinking the slide, oh, that's it. What is OSAP? It's a program that's offered by the Government of Ontario to provide financial assistance to students to help them fund the costs to attend post-secondary. So it's based on financial need, not your grades, but there is a small academic expectation that students will progress through their program of studies in a timely manner. With one application each academic year, you'll be considered for non-repayable federal and provincial grants and repayable federal and provincial loans. Difference is loans have to be paid back, whereas grants do not need to be repaid back. OSAP eligibility: to be eligible to apply for the program, you need to meet 4 criteria. You need to be a Canadian citizen, so either a Canadian citizen, permanent resident, or a protected person. You need to have Ontario residency as defined by the OSAP program. Your program of studies must be OSAP approved, and your studies must lead to a degree, diploma, or certificate. Here at Laurier, I would say 99% of our undergraduate bachelor programs are OSAP eligible, but if you have any questions, you can go to our Laurier website to the financial aid area, and we have a listing of any of the ineligible programs. How is OSAP determined? It's a basic formula of allowable educational costs, which are listed on the slide, minus the expected financial contribution. And then that equals the calculated financial need. From there, this financial need is applied through all the OSAP equations and calculations, and then your assessment is given to determine your eligibility. OSAP for the 2022-23 academic year, you can actually start applying to OSAP when you submit your OUAC application. There's a section there that asks if you're going to be wanting to apply for OSAP funding. And if you indicate yes, you'll be taken to the beginning of the application to input your basic personal information. So it'd be you're interested in applying for the upcoming year. You put in your name, your date of birth, and basic things. Once then the main application opens in about May, you will be sent an email to tell you to go back into your OSAP account to finish the rest of the information that's required. If you miss applying through your ULAC application, then you can apply like anyone else in an upper year by going on to the ontario.ca OSAP website, which, like I said, should become available around May, June, depending on the year. When you start completing the application, you're going to need your social insurance number, and as a dependent student coming out of high school, you're also going to need your parents to complete their areas of the application. So they will need their social insurance number and their completed tax information from the past academic or past tax year. So that will be the 2021 tax year. Once you submit the application online, then you need to review further because you'll need to download and sign some consent forms to upload to the account. And you'll also need to complete the Master Student Financial Aid Agreement form. This form goes through to the National Loan Service Center, who processes your funding, and it helps identify who you are and gives them your banking information. So how much money can I get? That's the main question. Once the application opens in about May, the estimator for OSAP will also be available on the OSAP website. And you'll be able to plug in some information to give you just a basic idea of what you might be eligible to receive. Currently, the estimator isn't available, but like I said, it should be available in May. Once you do this, or once you submit your actual application where you can ask for an estimate as well, just remember that it is an estimate and it can change once you get your actual calculation. As a side note, there is no guarantee when you apply for OSAP that you will get funding, or if you do receive funding, it may not cover all of your student costs. So it's really important to look at the assessment when you get it, and also to look at how it's going to be distributed so that you can budget accordingly and make sure you're able to meet all of your expenses. Here at Laurier, we invoice term by term. And since OSAP's given out in a 60-40 split, often in the fall term, a student in residence should have enough money combined with their savings to cover their costs if they receive maximum funding. But in the winter term, we find that sometimes, or often, the calculation is smaller. Therefore, you really need to think ahead and budget to make sure you can see where your funding is going to be. How does OSAP pay Laurier? You'll get your initial assessment in early July, and then we will start confirming students' enrollment around late August for the fall term funding. The funds will be paid directly to Laurier first if you owe any outstanding fees, and then if the fees are covered and there's remaining OSAP funding, then it will be sent to your bank account. So this is just a really basic, high-level idea of how the program works. But at that point, I think I'm going to turn it over to Sharon to take over.
I'm back. Thank you. That was really awesome. So I'll let the questions come in. Again, just pop it in the Q&A section right now. So I've got one here. It says, okay, will the Laurier Scholar Program applications only be open for students who've received offers from Laurier? If so, do they have to be conditional or unconditional? This is a multi-part question, so I'll repeat anything. And then and in that case, if you need to receive an offer first, the deadline is in January. So what if you receive an offer after the deadline?
So definitely we encourage everyone to submit their application who is interested in that program, regardless of your offer status, because we understand that the offers are rolling out ongoing right up until that confirmation date in June. So we're having offers go out right through to May. The key is that because it is a time commitment for you with the letters of recommendations, the essay component, that we leave it to you to feel that if you're going to hit the 90% cutoff at your final grades, if you're feeling fairly confident or you're close to that, we strongly encourage you to submit that application with the requirements and the documentation, because it's definitely not conditional on that offer of admission. If you are selected as one of the 7 scholars, that's the only condition. You have to be attending Laurier in the fall of 2022.
Okay, awesome. And then another one just came in. Do part-time students receive scholarships or bursaries, or is it just for the full-time?
The entrance scholarships and entrance bursaries are for part-time incoming students. The competitive opportunities that we have to incoming first-year students there are some for part-time students. That's not necessarily a requirement, but unfortunately, yes, the majority of opportunities are for full-time students. That being said, our entrance bursary, while it is for full-time students, if you receive an entrance bursary, you're not eligible for the Laurier tuition bursary, which opens every year. You'd have access to that every year that you're a student. And we do have a part-time bursary, and the Laurier tuition bursary is based on OSAP requirements for full-time, which is 3 half credits per term. So there are opportunities for bursary assistance. It's just multiple programs that may apply in this case.
Awesome. We got another one for you, Nancy. There was a question in the chat, and as far as the Laurier Scholars Award bursaries, what if they're January, so winter term start students? Would they be eligible for those?
Laurier Scholars is fall admission. The scholars, the idea is that the scholars really progress through their studies together. So at the same study periods, because it is a collective, scholars will become a community. So the idea is that to have that progression at a similar time. We recognize co-ops and other things may come in, but the starting point is the fall of 2022. However, winter admissions for our grid scholarships and our bursaries, you are eligible to still receive it. The difference with that at this point in time, and again, it's always subject to change. The difference at this point of time is that we work through the academic year. So they would apply to winter, spring of 2022. They wouldn't carry forward to the next year, but yes, you would still be able to receive that in the winter.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. And then as far as like winter intake students, I think you may have said like scholarships, everything, like they're still entrance scholarships, even for winter students.
Yes, the winter, like if you're coming in, your entrance scholarship offer still applies and your entrance bursary still applies for sure.
Okay, awesome. Another question for you. The Laurier Scholars Award seems to be a popular one. So the application, is it in their student portal? So when they apply, is it in their application portal?
Yes, that is actually what we've been sorting out this year. There's been a slight change to that. But that being said, we will send emails to all students who have applied to Laurier with complete details on how to access it. But it is an online form that we will provide links to how to apply in full instructions. If anyone has any issues accessing the form at that time, like in, let's say December, you haven't heard from us, pop a note to Choose Laurier, and we can definitely communicate that to you.
Okay, awesome. One more in here. Okay, so somebody is just asking. So there's an international student who's got admissions to Laurier. There's a scholarship as well. Wondering, are there any other scholarships other than the entrance one for now that they can apply for other than the Laurier Scholars Award?
At this point, there's nothing open at this exact point in time, but that first year profile that'll open in June, there are opportunities for international students in that. And definitely we encourage all international students to complete the profile as well, because we do have a range of opportunities that will come out of that profile. We're seeing definitely support for international students come through from our donors. So that one application will be your application to everything.
Okay. All right. We're kind of on a hold for questions here. So we'll wait and see if anyone else has any questions. In the meantime, while y'all are thinking or typing, just wanted to let you know, if you look in the chat, you'll see there is a virtual lobby, so you can connect one-on-one with a Laurier rep. That's there until 2 p.m. So if you want to go do that, please check that link, save it, copy it, and we'd be happy to hang out with you guys. Again, that's up until 2. I'm not seeing any new questions. So we'll wait a little bit longer. I guess I'll just ask one, a common one that I see. For OSAP, when it comes to grants versus loans, Pam, would you mind just explaining the difference between those?
Sure. Grants versus loan. The main difference is loans you repay and grants you don't have to repay. There's federal and provincial depending on the calculation. The other issue would be with a loan, even though you do have to repay it, as long as you let the loan center know you're in school each year, at least 60% of a course load, continued studies, even if you don't take loans for all of the years, there are continuation forms you submit. And as long as you do that, then you don't repay the loan until 6 months after you graduate. They're interest-free while you're going through school. And the percentage when you repay back is slightly different for the federal or a provincial loan, but that you can investigate on the National Student Loan Service Center site.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. I'm waiting for a couple more questions. I think they're all trickling in. Okay, here's another one. Okay, so someone is just saying they can't see any of the previous questions asked. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not sure why you're not able to see them. But this is recorded, so you can always go back and watch again and see what questions were asked. You can do one of those playbacks, but even if you're not sure if the question's already been answered, just ask again. We're happy to just answer it once more. In the meantime, so for OSAP, there's a student asking, do they have to submit both parents' information? And even if one isn't totally present, how would that look like? Is it still both either way?
There's drop-down questions on the applications. So if your parents are married to each other together, they both complete the application. If your parents have split up and you are under the custody of the one parent, that would be the parent that would answer their information on your application. So if your biological parents have split for whatever reason and you're with your mother, then she would answer her information on the application. If she has remarried, then there is an expectation that the step parent will also complete the application as well. Again, there's various conditions on that. If it was a remarriage when you were very young and you're part of the full family, the step parent would complete the application. If it's a recent marriage where you were over 16, then there are different reviews that you can go through potentially. So no, not both parents don't necessarily have to complete the application, but only if they're not still married to each other.
Awesome. Thanks, Pam. Another question coming in. Nancy, you're awfully popular today. Are there any scholarships for students with disabilities?
Most definitely. We have great support for students who are registered with our Accessible Learning Center. They're not opportunities that you apply before admission. Again, there's twofold. We have sponsored opportunities from our donors, and those you'd be considered for just by filling out the profile. So we would match you up with opportunities that are specific to your situation. And again, we don't ask a lot of personal details. We leave that with your consultant. So once you're assigned a consultant with the Accessible Learning Center, they would have, anything personal regarding your accommodation. We don't need that information. It would come through your consultant, but you're still eligible for our automatic scholarships. So as I was referring to our entrance grid scholarships, we also offer in-course scholarships each year, which are automatically granted based on your grade. Students who are on a reduced course load are still eligible for that, but again, you'd work through your consultant. And we do have concessions made because we understand that you may not be able to do the traditional full-time course load as defined by the institution. So you would deal with your consultant. There's also programs available for maybe some extra expenses that you may incur, for, learning software, items that you may need to help you through your studies, tutoring, and so on. So again, those are all dealt with through your consultant, but there are funding opportunities available.
Could I pop in there, Sharon, too, with the
Yeah.
disabilities question? If a student does have a permanent disability, when they submit their OSAP application, there's an area they can identify that as well. And then there's a specific disability verification form that you would download and have completed by your doctor or psychologist. You upload that to your application as well. And then similar to what Nancy said, you can work with your consultant. And there is another program through the OSAP program that works alongside to help with accommodations and tutors as well. So there's opportunities if you're an OSAP student as well.
Awesome. Thank you both. All right. I'm not seeing any new questions trickle in, so I'll just wait a few more minutes. As some of you were saying that you couldn't see the link, I've resent the link for the virtual lobby session. So it should be in the chat. Everyone should be able to see it now. That should be all good to go now. If you can't see it again, please let me know. Okay, perfect. Everyone can see it. So that's great. We'll wait maybe one more minute or two to see if there are any more questions. Again, if not, this can always be replayed, rewatched. If there's anything that you want to see again, maybe something that you've missed, can't think of a question, no worries. You can always just go back and watch it once it's posted on our website.
And Sharon, I'll jump in just,
Yeah.
anecdotally, I'll just say a lot of students we find for scholarships and awards maybe underestimate themselves. And that's why we encourage students to just don't underestimate yourself. Not everyone, we recognize not everyone is volunteering, massive hours and is an A student. And a lot of donors recognize that too. They'll recognize we have an award for twins. We have opportunities for a student who's studying fish cell biology. Like it's not always every component, there's a range of these criteria, and that's within Laurier and external. So through these databases, again, there could be the smallest of criteria. It could be simply, it could be submitting your email. Again, they want your contact info to send you promotional materials about their business, but they might have a textbook grant of $100 just by you giving that email. So again, the opportunities are there. And it's not just for, those who are, like a 95 plus average with tons of volunteerism. There's a huge range of criteria out there.
Awesome. That's very true. Thanks, Nancy, for putting that out there. Yeah. Yeah, I know when I was a student and I was applying for these, I was like, I'll take it. Like, I don't know. I didn't think I was eligible for a lot of things. And then I ended up getting quite a few dollar amounts. So I was like, I'll take it. So yes. I really encourage all of you guys, again, same as Nancy said.
And a fair amount, and Sharon, a fair amount in US dollars too. There's a lot of North American programs that we see our students receiving US funds as well.
Can't complain,
No.
Awesome. Okay, so is the virtual lobby for funding questions, or can we ask questions about programs? No, it's go ask about your programs, get all those questions in. So doesn't only have to be about like the student finance or anything like that. So you can definitely go and chat about programs in the virtual lobby as well. So really encourage y'all, if you have any questions about your programs, to go and do that for sure. Okay, sorry, one more question came in. So the student is asking, when looking for scholarships and bursaries, independent sites that mostly only apply to students currently enrolled in high school, are there many available through Laurier for students that are not in high school?
It's developing more so, but the traditional scholarship opportunities have been targeted to students coming out of high school. With those databases, typically what you can do, and again, it depends on the database, you can put in your information and filter by your personal situation. Now, I haven't seen the registration to know if they've expanded to that point to say, anything specific to mature students or students not coming directly out of high school. But definitely it's worth trying to register with a number of those databases just to see if there is something specific. For Laurier, for students not entering, for once you're an undergraduate student, We are receiving funding from our donors for more opportunities for mature learners. So students who came in not from high school, they're just targeted more at undergraduate students. So once you've completed first year, there will be more opportunities for students who entered as a mature student. And the application for those is through our general student profile. So you wouldn't need to go look for those. If you're a Laurier student, you just fill out that profile. And we do have a question on that profile. We'll say, did you enter your studies either as a mature student or, have you worked in between? And our profile is targeted towards that as well.
Awesome. Thanks, Nancy. Okay. Alrighty. So I'm not seeing any more questions pop in. So I think we'll be ending this shortly. I just want to make sure I haven't missed anything. Again, everything is in the chat. Links are in the chat. If you can't, maybe click it, try copying and pasting it and putting it in your browser. And then looks like there's no more questions. So hopefully we covered everything for all of you that are tuning in. And again, thank you so much to everyone who came and listen. Again, this is all going to be online, so you can always go back and do those replays. Thanks, Pam and Nancy, for coming and doing this great presentation and answering all of our questions. So with that, I will let, I see a lot of thank yous in the questions, so no problem. This was great. So hope you all have a great day. Enjoy the rest of this weekend. From my window, it looks lovely. I hope it's lovely from where you guys are as well. And so we will see everyone hopefully in the virtual lobby. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.